Welcome to Across Africa, France 24's weekly roundup from across the continent. Coming up this week, a Malian extremist who pled guilty to the destruction of ancient shrines in Timbuktu is given a 9-year sentence by the ICC. It's the first time the destruction of cultural heritage is tried as a war crime. Also, this week marked the 7-year anniversary since a peaceful opposition rally in Guinea Conakry ended in bloodshed. More than 150 people were killed by security forces. Many of the victims' families say the pain is still fresh. And peace for the pangolin. Well, that's the hope of conservationists. They've welcomed a vote at the CITES International Conference in Johannesburg to ban all trade of the world's most trafficked mammal. But first, this week saw the first ever sentence to be handed down for the war crime of the destruction of cultural heritage. A Malian man was given 9 years by the ICC for his part in the wrecking of ancient shrines in Timbuktu in 2012. Rights groups are hoping that will help stop the targeting of historic sites in conflicts, devastation that is almost always committed with impunity.
The court will now ask the defendant to rise.
Prosecutors had demanded a sentence of 9 to 11 years in jail.
Mr. Al-Mahdi, the crime which you have been convicted of is of significant gravity. The chamber unanimously sentences you to 9 years of imprisonment.
That sentence took into account Al-Mahdi's expression of remorse and his cooperation with authorities. He had faced a possible sentence of 30 years for involvement in the destruction of World Heritage Site mausoleums in Timbuktu in Mali, dating from the 14th and 15th centuries.
Mr. Al-Mahdi personally participated in the destruction of at least 5 of the sites. Moreover, he justified the necessity of the attack by writing a sermon that was read before the attack and by giving public speeches as the destructions were occurring. The chamber did not
It is a
find
historic
any
ruling,
aggravating
the first one based on
circumstances.
cultural
Mr.
destruction
Al-Mahdi
as a war
fully
crime,
endorsed
and the first guilty
and was
verdict
fully
against a Muslim
vindicated in the
extremist.
execution.
Revered as a centre of Islamic learning in centuries past, Timbuktu in northern Mali is known as the city of 333 saints. Mahdi and his Ansar Deen group began destroying shrines when they took control of the city in 2012.
My first feeling, of course, is of justice. It is that impunity should not be the answer to the destruction of cultural heritage. On the other side, I think it is justice also for the local people, for the local communities in Timbuktu.
All right.
Al-Mahdi was arrested in 2014 by French troops. During his trial, he urged Muslims around the world not to commit acts similar to those he committed.
The Boko Haram insurgency, along with plummeting oil prices and a rise in attacks on crude installations, have all weighed heavily on Nigeria's fortunes. This year, it lost its place as the continent's top economy and, to make matters worse, last month entered into recession. Our correspondents have spoken to Nigerians hoping to weather the storm.
These are hard times in the property business. This businessman has relocated his real estate company from the commercial capital Lagos to the political capital Abuja in recent months. Construction has ground to a near standstill in Lagos. Many clients simply cannot pay their invoices. But here in the capital Abuja, business is a little better. There is money to be made from rental properties. In an oil-based economy, those businessmen most likely to survive are those able to diversify their activities.
I'm not really surprised at what is going on. We saw it coming from afar, from the way the oil price was dropping, and we had the refineries of our own and all. So it's not something that would affect us in general. And I'm prepared for this, and I think I will survive this.
Despite the optimism of some, the fall in oil prices has plunged Nigeria into an economic crisis. It has been a very bad year for this bureau de change in Lagos. The profits of this business have taken a big hit over the past 6 months. There have also been staff layoffs. And although there is some slight improvement of late, the long-term outlook remains bleak.
$50,000 should be given to each bureau de change per week. But as I tell you, the banks, even at times they will debit 2-3 weeks, they've not given you the funds. Even when they give you, they don't give you up to that amount. So you could find out, you could see that the scarcity is really much. It's affecting our business. We are practically not doing much as it is now.
The devaluation of the naira in June has made very little impact. The currency has continued to lose value against the dollar, euro and pound sterling. There is a huge need for foreign currencies because Nigeria imports almost everything it consumes. Some economists think that this is a time to revise Nigeria's economic model and to diversify the economy away from its dependence on oil and to build a solid industrial base.
I think the federal government should try and support the small-scale industry because they are the driver of the economy. By so doing, it's going to boost the number of products, the items that we have in the economy, and this will increase the number of made-in-Nigerian goods and also promote made-in-Nigerian goods consumption.
Last month, South Africa pushed Nigeria off the top spot to become Africa's largest economy once more. And there are very few signs that Nigeria can put itself out of the economic crisis anytime soon.
Friday saw Botswana celebrate 50 years of independence. The country hasn't been without its growing pains. Its economy was long boosted by diamond revenue, but the gems are unfortunately not forever. And now Botswana's looking at other ways to fill its coffers.
Cyril Khama was Botswana's first president when the country gained independence from Britain 50 years ago. His son, Ian Khama, is the current president, and the same party, the BDP, has been in power since 1966. Khama believes the country set the bar for governance on the continent.
I think it's a response by the people to our policies and programs, which have always been people-driven. And our zero tolerance for corruption, for example, and being the least corrupt country on this continent is part of that.
Botswana built its economic success on diamonds and then used the revenue cautiously. It created a sovereign wealth fund, but demand for diamonds has dwindled. At the same time, safari tourism has boomed. Botswana boasts more than 150,000 elephants, a third of Africa's entire population of the animals. Despite this, unemployment today stands at 20%.
I'm worried by the fact that there's no employment. People seek jobs, and so many graduates are street walking with no jobs.
I just hope things will get better for us, especially as youth, because I think we're the ones struggling the most in terms of, finding jobs and making a living for ourselves.
Botswana is one of Africa's success stories, but the government critics say it's becoming more authoritarian, and the country still has to deal with a huge public health issue. The UN estimates that about 25% of people aged between 15 and 49 are HIV positive in Botswana.
Wednesday marked exactly 7 years since a peaceful opposition rally in Guinea Conakry ended in bloodshed. On the 28th of September 2009, security forces opened fire and more than 150 people were killed. The abuse didn't stop there. An investigation into the violence began in 2010, but the victims' families still say that they're frustrated with the waiting.
On Wednesday, when the victims of the massacre tried to enter Conakry Stadium, they were not let in. It was here exactly 7 years ago that, according to the UN, 156 people were killed and 109 women were raped by soldiers. The crowd had gathered in the stadium to reject the presidential candidacy of Moussa Dadis Camara. He had taken power in a coup 9 months beforehand. Today, Dadis lives in Burkina Faso and says uncontrolled elements within the army committed the atrocities. A trial has yet to begin, and the victims and their families are exasperated.
All this shows the state doesn't have the political will to judge these crimes. And look at this. Today we come here to the stadium where the crimes took place, and they didn't even let us do an interview inside.
Just being here brings back terrible memories for the victims.
When I come to this stadium, I can't handle it. What we went through was terrible. I even feel ashamed.
The investigation began 6 years ago and several junta leaders have been charged. But for the victims, the procedure is far too slow. This week, Guinea's Justice Minister tried to reassure them. He said the trial would begin next year.
Delegates at the CITES International Conservation Conference in Johannesburg have voted to ban all trade of the world's most trafficked mammal, the pangolin. They're a delicacy and used in traditional medicine across Africa and in countries like China and Vietnam. Demand has fueled an increase in poaching, and more than 1 million pangolin have been illegally hunted over the last decade.
The timid pangolin is finally getting its time in the spotlight, which could save it from extinction. This weird little critter has been called a lot of things, from a walking pine cone to an artichoke with legs. But its real claim to fame is being the most poached animal in the world. Now the international community is moving to save it.
This species is being pummeled by unsustainable trade for their scales and for their meat. And now that these protections have been done for them, it's going to be a clear line that any trade in pangolins is illegal going forward.
Pangolin meat is a delicacy in countries like China and Vietnam, and its scales have long been used in Eastern medicine, driving the 4 species of Asian pangolin near extinction. Traffickers have moved on to Africa in search of the creature. Here in Uganda, poaching has reached an unprecedented high. Many pangolins are stolen from their nests in national parks. This ranger says in 8 years of working in the Kadepo Valley National Park, he has not seen a single one.
Yeah, the nest is active, but I'm not seeing one of it inside, although the hole proceeds inside and it looks an active nest.
Even with the new ban on trade, high demand means pangolin traffic is likely to continue, though experts say it will be driven even further underground. Activists call for increased international cooperation to save the threatened species.
Well, that's it for Across Africa this week. Thanks very much for joining us. Please do so again if you can. Take care.